Hey y'all, it's Kim. So this will be video 4. I questioned uh, ChatGPT whether or not there were reports that Jeffrey Epstein faked his death. And of course, there's so much speculation. Who really knows? And will we ever get the actual truth? Even if he did, I mean, we'd probably never know about it if he was living his best life somewhere after everything that he did. But anyway, so here's just the Wikipedia article that actually ChatGPT referenced, and it shows the death of Jeffrey Epstein. The death of the American financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Sorry, I had to get a drink. Occurred on August 10th, 2019. Guards found Epstein unresponsive in his cell at 6:30 a.m. at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City, hanging off the side of his cell's bed, where he was awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. After prison guards performed CPR, he was transported in cardiac arrest to the New York downtown hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 6:39 a.m. The New York City medical examiner and the Justice Department Inspector General ruled that Epstein's death was a suicide by hanging. Epstein's lawyers challenged the medical examiner's conclusion and opened their own investigation, hiring pathologist Michael Bodden. And I think he was even in charge or had something to do maybe with the OJ deaths, of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. I think that's his name. So anyway, after initially expressing suspicion, Attorney General William Barr described Epstein's death as a perfect storm of screw ups. Both the FBI and the Department of Justice's Inspector General conducted investigations into the circumstances of his death. The guards on duty were later charged with multiple counts of record falsification. Many public figures accused the Federal Bureau of Prisons of negligence. Several lawmakers called for reforms to the federal prison system, and in response, Barr removed the Bureau's director. As a result of Epstein's death, all charges against him were dismissed. Duh. An ongoing sex trafficking investigation shifted attention to his alleged associates, notably Ghislaine Maxwell, who was arrested and indicted in July of 2020 and convicted on 5 sex trafficking related counts on December 29, 2021. Another associate, John Luke Brunel, was arrested by French authorities in 2020 and later died by suicide. How convenient, right? Due to violations of normal jail procedures on the night of Epstein's death, the malfunction of 2 cameras in front of his cell, and his claims to have compromising information about powerful figures, his death generated speculation and conspiracy theories about the possibility that he was murdered. Other theories claimed his death was feigned or faked. In November 2019, the contested nature of his death spawned the Epstein didn't kill himself meme. Public opinion polls suggested that only a small percentage of Americans believed that Epstein died by suicide. One such poll saw 16% of respondents saying they believed Epstein died by suicide, 45% believed he was murdered, 39% being unsure. Probably the unsure ones, like either they're really unsure which way it went, or they're unsure he's even dead. That would probably be where I would land at the time. But anyway, because we never get straight answers. So, arrest and imprisonment, the apprehension and indictment. On July 6, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested in New York City on multiple charges, including sex trafficking, and held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan. He pleaded not guilty. He faced similar charges in Florida in 2008, but escaped federal charges in a plea deal. Under its provisions, he pleaded guilty to 2 state felony charges, paid restitution to 3 dozen victims identified by the FBI, and registered as a sex offender in both Florida and New York. On July 18th, 2019, Epstein was denied bail after offering $600,000 to be able to wear an ankle tracker at his New York City townhouse. He was viewed as a potential flight risk because of the 20 international flights he took in the previous 18 months. Epstein appealed the bail decision, Epstein appealed the bail denial decision to the United States Courts of Appeal for the Second Circuit. At the time of his death, the appeal was still pending. Initial incident and final weeks. At 1:27 a.m. on July 23rd, 2019, Epstein was found semi-conscious in his cell with injuries to his neck. Prison officials questioned his cellmate, multiple murderer, and drug conspiracy suspect Nicholas Tartaglione, maybe. He denied harming Epstein. An internal prison investigation cleared Tartaglione, I guess, of any connection to the event. One unnamed source claimed Epstein told his lawyers Tartaglione had inflicted the injuries on him. Another unnamed source claimed Epstein staged the incident in order to be transferred. Spencer Cuven, a lawyer who represented 3 of Epstein's alleged victims, said in July 2019, after Epstein's first apparent suicide attempt, oh my gosh, that he believed it was an attack on his life and that there was a high probability that he would be murdered in prison. As a result of the incident, Epstein was placed on suicide watch. He was held in an observation cell surrounded by windows where lights were left on and any devices that he could use to kill himself were not permitted. After 6 days, psychological staff removed Epstein from suicide watch following a psychiatric examination. He then returned to the special housing unit where he was to have a cellmate and be checked on every 30 minutes. A note written by Epstein was found in his cell after his death. In it, he complained about large bugs crawling on his body, guard Tova Noel giving him burnt food, and the guard intentionally locking him in a shower cell without clothes for an hour. On August 8th, Epstein signed his last will and testament, witnessed by 2 attorneys who knew him. The will named 2 longtime employees as executors and immediately gifted all his assets and any assets remaining in his estate to a trust. The death, when Epstein was placed in the special housing unit or the SHU, the jail informed the Justice Department that he would not have that he would have a cellmate and that a guard would look into the cell every 30 minutes. These procedures were not followed on the night he died. On August 9th, Epstein's cellmate was transferred and no replacement was brought in. The evening of his death, Epstein met with his lawyers, who described him as upbeat, before being escorted back to the SHU at 7:49 p.m. by a guard, Tova Noel. CCTV footage shows that the 2 guards failed to perform the required institutional count at 10 p.m. and recorded Noel briefly walking by Epstein's cell at 10:30 p.m., the last time the guards entered the tier where his cell was located. Throughout the night, in violation of the jail's normal procedure, Epstein was not checked every 30 minutes. The 2 guards assigned to check his cell overnight, Noel and Michael Thomas, fell asleep at their desk. For about 3 hours later, falsified related records. Wow. 2 cameras in front of Epstein's cell also malfunctioned that night. Another camera had footage that was unusable. Yeah. Epstein's body being moved to the medical examiner's office. Okay, so discovery. As the guards were distributing breakfast shortly after 6:30 a.m. on the morning of August 10th, Epstein was found unresponsive in cardiac arrest in his cell. He was found in a kneeling position with a strip of bed sheet wrapped around his neck. The sheet was tied at the top of his bunk. He was believed to have been dead for about 2 hours by then. The guards performed CPR on Epstein, and other prisoners heard them yell, "Breathe, Epstein, breathe." At 6:33 a.m., the guards pulled an alarm, notifying their supervisor, to whom Noel said Epstein hung himself. He was rushed to the New York downtown hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 6:39 a.m. His body was transported to the medical examiner's office soon after. The removal of Epstein's body from his cell was a violation of protocol, as the Bureau of Prisons mandates that a suicide scene be treated with the same level of protection as any crime scene in which a death has occurred. Consequently, prison personnel also failed to photograph Epstein's body as it was found. Controversy. Epstein's death was the first death ruled a suicide at the MCC in 21 years. Michael Baden in 60 Minutes questioned whether Epstein, who was almost 6 foot or 6 feet tall and weighed 185 pounds, could have been able to hang himself from the lower bunk. Photos taken after the death also show bottles and medicines standing upright on the top bunk. Biden also questioned why Epstein did not use other materials available in his cell as a ligature, such as wires and tubing from a sleep apnea machine, which were stronger and longer. All right, I'm going to stop this here and then record some more of this Wikipedia page. But anyway, I will talk to y'all later. You have a good one. Bye.